Yesterday, we reported on President Biden's new plan to get more people vaccinated. And in effect, for about 1 out of 3 Americans, if they work for a corporation that's large enough, they will sort of have to get vaccinated. It's being called a mandate, but please bear in mind that you don't have to get vaccinated. You can, alternatively, simply get tested for COVID every week. But everybody's forgetting about that part, and we're all pretending that it's a mandate. So let's go forward with that understanding. Now we have the reaction, and virtually everyone on the right hates this, regardless of what they've said personally in the past about vaccine mandates, and we'll be doing a bit of fact checking for that. But why don't we start with Mike Pence, who was in a position of authority in response to the pandemic not long ago. Here's what he had to say about the new plan.
I have to tell you, the president's speech yesterday was unlike anything I'd ever heard from an American president. I mean, to have the president of the United States say that he's been patient, but his patience is wearing thin. That's not how the American people expect to be spoken to by our elected leaders. But to say that it's not about freedom, it's exactly about freedom. America is about freedom and the ability to make the best decision for your family, for your business. Sure. And now to have a president not just scolding the American people, but scolding governors around the country, it's just not the American way. And I expect the response they're going to get from across the country will prove that.
Yeah, what Mike Pence gets is that the American public has become used to the president always being very polite and speaking in a respectful fashion, never saying anything harsh, attacking any groups inside of America, anything like that. But he wasn't just angry at President Biden's tone or his word choice. He said this is about freedom. American families should be able to choose. They should be able to choose for their families. They should not be required to do anything. And again, they don't have to. They don't have to get vaccinated. But even if we pretend that they will be required to, what's interesting is that back in February 2015, former Governor Mike Pence had this to say about vaccine mandates, saying, Indiana law requires all children be protected from vaccine preventable diseases like the measles by getting vaccinated. Vaccines protect all our children from illnesses, and our administration strongly urges Hoosier families to have their children vaccinated. So when he was in charge of a state, he was perfectly happy with, in fact, proud of their vaccine mandate because it protected children, and in so doing, protected their families from diseases that might be transmitted through their children. Now we're in the exact same situation, lots of people dying from a disease that can be prevented, but it's not politically convenient to be on the side of vaccine mandates, and so the former vice president has changed his position. There will be others doing likewise, but what do you all think about this?
Okay, so I'm gonna get to a little bit later what the actual patriotic and American thing to do is, and obviously John's point is very good. When we all know this, I mean, this is all lunacy. We've all been taking vaccines our whole lives, and it's been mandated in 1,000 different circumstances for polio and many other diseases. This is just a culture war issue that has nothing to do with logic, facts, reason, science, or medicine at all. It has to do with a certain group of Neanderthals in the country who decide, me no like science, me like Trump better. Okay, that's reality. You can cry about it, and I encourage you to cry about it. Get out your emotions, because I know Republicans are all about emotions now. Somebody hurt Trump's feelings. I mean, literally, a guy we covered yesterday in Tennessee, I believe. Oh, I don't want to like to take vaccine because, and I'm not kidding. He actually did talk like that. I'm doing a mild version of it because it hurt Trump's feeling. Okay, I don't like that, and then he got COVID, and then luckily he survived by taking all sorts of other medicines by the same companies that hurt Trump's feelings. Okay, anyways, but the main thing I wanted to say about Pence is no, nobody who supported Donald Trump gets to talk about, they don't like the president talking to the American people that way. That's scolding. I mean, imagine a president scolding anyone. Hey, Mike, they were chanting, hang Mike Pence as they broke into the Capitol. I would put that under the wide category of scolding. When they want to execute you, that's scolding in an extreme way. Do you guys know that Donald Trump, after finding out that his fans wanted to murder his own vice president, never apologized to Pence? He never apologized to him.
Or asked them not to?
And this little this sad little man, Mike Pence, thinks he's gonna run for president. Dude, they wanted to execute you. You have a 0% chance of winning. Now Republican voters hate you more than Democratic voters because you wouldn't rig an election in a way you couldn't do anyway. And now you're gonna go out here and try to, oh no, can you imagine an American president talking roughly with the American people? I've never seen any such thing. Look, that's why any media that entertains this is trash, and turn them off. And if you are an actual journalist, you don't have to yell at him, you don't have to do anything. You just have to say, Mr. Vice President, are you being serious? You were the vice president for Donald Trump, who often spoke far worse to the American people. So this is a genuine question out of intellectual curiosity. Did you miss those 4 years? Did you miss the chant? Like, I'm trying to understand what you're saying, because if we're all honest actors, you couldn't possibly mean what you just said. That's the most absurd thing that anybody's ever seen.
You know, I want to know, I would love for someone to ask Mike Pence if he's been vaccinated, because a lot of times these people who are instigating and playing these games with the American people were first in line to get the vaccination, because they stand and they sit in a privileged place and had access to it long before, many people had to go stand at stadiums and have specific jobs or illnesses to stand in line first. The other thing is, I'm so tired of this elitist, whether we're talking about Republicans or Democrats, there's an elitist problem in this country with people who stand in a place of privilege, who have opportunities and access to everything, always speaking about the people who don't. And Mike Pence is even as dangerous as Donald Trump, because he played that game. He really played the game. He just jumps back and forth wherever it's convenient for him. He's been very dangerous for his state and the people of his state. But I'm so tired of hearing these talking points, because at the end of the day, point blank, all it is an assault on the intelligence of the average American, because our education system is so failed and people lack information and don't have access to quality education in this country, that now you can just move them emotionally because they don't know what is what. And at the end of the day, that's all this is. It's just an attack on American people, because our education system is so lacking, and these people don't know science, they don't know geography, they don't have information. And what these elitists are doing, that's what I'm gonna start calling them, is playing with these people's emotions.
Yeah, and playing with their lives too, because as you point out, they're all vaccinated. Pence is vaccinated. I believe he's actually said it. The next person we're gonna talk about, Ben Shapiro, is as well.
No, Mike Pence was actually one of the first people to get vaccinated, because and on that front, I have no criticism of him. He should have gotten vaccinated as he did, and say it publicly, so I'll encourage others to get vaccinated, which he does actually. So let's be fair about it. So and he said, Karen and I were vaccinated, and I thought, which one? And then I realized, oh no, his wife is named Karen. Okay, she's a literal Karen. Okay, got it. But see, we're fair. Pence said, "Hey, listen, what Trump was done was maniacal, and of course he talked like this all the time to the American people. But I didn't like it back then. I agree with the philosophy and the principles and the legislation, but I don't agree with that manner, and hence I don't agree with it when Joe Biden does it. I should know best because they were looking to execute me." But then we would say, "Okay, fine, that's his opinion." It's the hypocrisy and the disingenuous nonsense that I can't stand.
Yeah,
but
100%.
You got more on this?
Oh, we do, yes. So one part of this announcement by Biden is that corporations that do not comply with this can be fined up to $14,000 for each case of non-compliance. And now we have the right-wing corporations saying whether they actually plan to challenge it or not, whether they even have the 100 employees necessary to trigger it or not, saying that they're not going to comply. And Ben Shapiro's company is one of those. So here he is talking about their legal path forward.
Ben, your company's got over 100 employees, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna listen to the president? Everybody gonna roll up their sleeves, or are you gonna take a different approach?
Of course not. We're going to use every method and resource at our disposal to defy the president's unconstitutional order. And this is coming from somebody who's very pro-vaccine. I was vaccinated as soon as possible. I've encouraged everybody to get the vaccine, or pretty much everybody to get the vaccine. And the notion that the federal government has the ability to force every business in America with over 100 employees. By the way, I'm not sure why it's over 100 employees. Theoretically, it should be every business in America because you can get infected anywhere. He said he came into office saying, I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm not going to shut down the country. I'm going to shut down the virus. He failed to shut down the virus, so now he's going to shut down the economy and the country, apparently. The provisions that Joe Biden is going to be citing under OSHA are wildly overbroad. And frankly, I think that he's made a huge tactical legal blunder here. I think there's every possibility that something like this goes to the Supreme Court level, and suddenly we see a complete rewriting of the administrative state because Joe Biden couldn't get his act in order, and so he decided to issue a tyrannical and authoritarian order here.
It's just so, like, he's not shutting down the virus, he's shutting down the economy. No, if you encourage people not to work, not to comply, that is very much on you. The economy is suffering right now because the pandemic is going as poorly as it is. So he is taking that seriously at the very least. Let's also note the irony of the fact that he's having that conversation with the cast of Fox and Friends who work for a corporation that is doing these policies. But anyway, I also want to point out the personal hypocrisy, because he says, oh, I'm not being hypocritical, I'm against the mandates, which again, it's not a mandate. You don't have to get vaccinated, you can just get tested, but they pretend that that's not true. But I am pro-vaccine. But the thing is, he's also pro-mandate, or at least he was when he wrote in Town Hall back in 2015 this: the point of mandatory vaccinations is not merely to protect those who are vaccinated. When it comes to measles, mumps, and rubella, for example, children cannot be vaccinated until 1 year of age. The only way to prevent them from getting diseases is to ensure that those who surround them do not have those diseases. The same is true for children with diseases like leukemia, as well as pregnant women. Herd immunity is designed to protect third parties, but Americans have short memories and enormous confidence in junk science. That doesn't mean that all vaccinations should be compulsory, of course. There are certain diseases that can only be transmitted by behavior, like HPV. There are others that are too varied for effective herd vaccination, like the flu shot. But when it comes to measles and mumps and rubella and polio, your right to be free of vaccination and your right to be a dope with the health of your child because you believe Jenny McCarthy's idiocy ends where my child's right to live begins. Oops. So he not only supported mandatory vaccinations, he specifically did so that philosophically, you don't have the freedom to risk other people's lives. But oops, now it's not just Jenny McCarthy, it's the entire right that's against this. So I guess my values, they're whatever they have to be. I want you to keep listening to me. I want you to give me money. So I'll say whatever you need me to say. That's Ben Shapiro's position.
Yeah, so first of all, why the hypocrisy? Why bother? Because conservatives like Ben Shapiro are always trying to seem like they're the reasonable ones. So they'll set a bottom of the barrel that's really, really low and say, well, they're not gonna cross this bottom, right? So it's okay. I get to say, hey, look, we shouldn't murder each other with contagious diseases. That's an easy bottom. And then I'll get to say to the people and the suckers in the media and other folks, I'm the reasonable conservative. Hey, look, I'm in favor of vaccines. But then Republicans always go past the bottom of the barrel. Remember, he was against Trump in the beginning. He's like, oh, the way he's talking is really crude, and I bet he's in favor of porn. Yeah, remember, Ben Shapiro wrote a whole book against porn. Donald Trump had sex with porn actresses without a condom. Okay, let's just understand, level set here, right? So he's like, oh, I don't like him, he likes porn, he likes other things, I don't like him, right? And then they're like, hey, shut up and like Trump, his audience says to him. He's like, oh, okay, I love Trump, never mind, I'm sorry, I love Trump, I hate vaccines, I mean, I'm vaccinated, my wife's a doctor, do you know my wife's a doctor? I mention it in every show, okay? And then, but you don't get vaccinated, Okay, by the way, who likes this guy? I don't get it. Who looks at Ben Shapiro, maybe it's a different country, who looks at Ben Shapiro and thinks like, oh, I love fast-talking dudes who look down at me and say things that don't make any sense and that then contradicted themselves all the time. It's, well, yeah, Republicans like it. Yeah, I got it. Okay, anyway, and he says, oh, Biden failed to shut down the virus. That's because your moron fans won't get vaccinated. Like, so, okay, oh yeah, let's show Biden, man. He's not gonna beat the vaccine. I mean, he's not gonna beat the coronavirus. You know why we're gonna get the coronavirus? We're gonna smear it in our ears. And then maybe if we die, then that'll show Biden. They'll be like, you good, Ben? Meanwhile, Ben's been vaccinated the whole time. So is Pence, so is their doctor wives and their Karen wives. They're all vaccinated, laughing their ass off at their stupid followers who are dying to help them politically so they can get Joe Biden. And John's right. This whole segment was about the Daily Wire will not comply with the laws of Joe Biden. We hate rule of law and law and order. Law and order. We hate the cops, right? Okay, that's fine. But you're on Fox News. They certainly have more than 100 employees. Fox News ain't said a word because we showed you the memos earlier. Internal memos show Fox News is mandating vaccines, masks, you name it, they mandate it. They're like, remember guys, we're not stupid, our audience is stupid. We all keep safe and we make sure they die for our political benefit. Isn't that hilarious? And that's the scum that is conservative media today.
So I stand corrected about Pence. In all transparency, I've been staying away from these people as I was preparing for my special because they depress me. Because I actually know quite a few people who have passed away from coronavirus, and to watch this virus being politicized in the manner in which it has caused a lot of people from my community and many communities to fall, and it's just gross to see them playing this game. But I stand by what I said about this elite, attitude and this elite air that they have. Like he said it proudly. My wife and I both have been vaccinated, but it's the game that they're playing with these people who, like I said, don't have the information, the benefit of an education. They don't know the science behind it. That all of the conspiracy theories, like I've had people hit me with, they're trying to slip something in me. And I'm like, I see you. If they were trying to slip something in you, all they had to do was put it in a Big Mac. They don't have to come up with it. No, they're trying to track me. No, where? 7-Eleven? They want my DNA. No, they want LeBron's DNA. They don't want your DNA. So I stand by it. I feel like they're just running game. Like Cenk just said, it's all for political gain. In the middle of it, all of those people who follow blindly and perish don't matter because they don't care about you anyway. And as much as we go at it with those people that way, nobody insults those people more than their own, the people that they're following. Yeah. Nobody insults their intelligence more. They are like, you know what? Look, let's tell them what they want to hear because they're gonna do it. They're gonna follow. If we just do this a little bit, they're gonna fall for it because they don't have good educations. They're too busy working. They don't have health care. They ain't got no money. They don't have time to go find out the real stuff. So just tell them to drink Clorox. Tell them to drink whatever the horse medication is. They're gonna do it, just do it. And if you don't think it's that evil, then you really, really need to pick up something and read.
Yeah, all right, I'm just gonna say the last couple of things. First of all, if they slip it into the Big Mac, I'm a goner. And every time I drive by a 7-Eleven, I think, I like their hot dogs. But I do too. My line of the week though is from Ida on, they don't want your DNA. Trust me, they don't want your DNA. They don't want any part of that. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something. I just wanna show them number of deaths in America from coronavirus. Because they say, oh no, this is all, they're slipping it in because that could kill you later. You know what kills you? Coronavirus. 656,000 dead in America. 656,000 dead in America. And all the top Republicans are vaccinated, but they're getting you guys to die for them. If you think that's owning the libs, have at it, Hoss. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.